Wouldn't life be so much better if we just got everything we wanted? Right? What is up, Flick fans? Welcome back to my channel. Y'all know I like talking Oscars on here, and today, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back through the 2010s, starting with 2009, because 2010 Oscars, and honestly, it's cheating a bit because we've had time to let so many of these films soak in, and movies resonate differently upon multiple watches. I can't tell you how many times I've just changed my opinion altogether on a film after watching it 4 to 5 times. So it is kind of approaching it from an unfair perspective, but that's still what we're doing today. We are looking back at the last 10 Oscar ceremonies, approaching it from a 2020 perspective, obviously, and talking about the movies, the actors, the actresses, every single category that should have won over the film that actually did win. Now, are there going to be some personal touches to this video? Absolutely. So not everyone's going to agree with every category, but I need you all in the comments down below. What movie should have won an Oscar? Now, this is not a snubs video. That is something I have in the cards, but we're talking films specifically that were nominated for that award and ended up getting the short end of the stick, did not end up winning. Some of these films have just resonated better over the years, and once again, it's unfair because we've had time to let them soak in, especially the ones in the early 2000s, but I just want to give you guys some perspective on how I feel about some of these winners over the years, and if you enjoy these kinds of videos, hit that thumbs up button. Let's see how this goes. Okay, so obviously we're starting with the 2009 year, but the 2010 Oscar ceremony. And I'll be flat honest with you, I didn't get as specific as something like production design, visual effects, but we are focusing on 2 major awards here. One, Best Director, the other, Best Picture. And for both, I have Inglourious Basterds winning out over The Hurt Locker. Now, Inglourious Basterds got plenty of recognition that year, but as time has passed, I feel, and not everyone's going to agree, that Inglourious Basterds has aged much better over the years. It is talked about much more so than The Hurt Locker, and I look at Tarantino's direction in a movie that just doesn't really work when you're just pitching this idea. Let's change up history. Let's do this whole Jews and Nazis storyline much differently, approach it in a very Tarantino way, and the guy just destroys this movie. He is fantastic. That's not to say Catherine Bigelow didn't do a great job with The Hurt Locker. At the time, The Hurt Locker was a really good movie. But we've had 10 years to let these 2 films soak in. Which one has resonated with audiences much more so? That's according on your perspective, but I don't really hear anyone talking about The Hurt Locker today. Inglourious Basterds has just held up better. It's a film that I watch over and over. And once again, this is kind of cheating because the more I watch it, the more I love it. And I've had 10 years to watch it, but I watched The Hurt Locker once. I'm like, that was really good. But I feel no need to go back to it. So in my opinion, Inglourious Basterds deserved to win Best Picture that year, and Quentin Tarantino deserved to win Best Director. Now we move into the 2011 Oscars covering the 2010 year. This one is probably my most passionate argument. See, for all of these, my temperature is different. For the last one, I'm like, yeah, Inglourious Basterds could have won, but The Hurt Locker's still a good movie. And this isn't me saying The King's Speech is not a good movie. This is just me saying, who talks about The King's Speech? No one. There are fans, obviously, people who think it's a really good film. But movies like Inception, heck, Toy Story 3, The Fighter, Black Swan have resonated much more so, in my opinion. But the real film that I think should have won Best Picture, maybe not even my favorite out of the bunch, but I think it's The Social Network. I think it's David Fincher winning Best Director over Tom Hooper that year. Those are my 2 picks for the 2011 Oscars. Tom Hooper just directed Cats. I mean, that's enough for us to strip it away from him. We didn't know that long ago that he was going to be directing Cats. No, we don't look at that. We look at that specific film. Look, I think The King's Speech is a good film that just doesn't resonate near as well as the other films I listed off. And then you look at The Social Network. I mean, yes, it got its due in other categories, but everything about this film works oh so well. From Fincher's direction, which is, in my opinion, much more so deserved than Tom Hooper's direction in A King's Speech. And the fact that you watch it, I watch it, and this is opinionated, obviously, but I'm just like, how? It's just so much better. It's just so good. And you're changing things up about the real story, obviously, and that doesn't sit well with some people. But this isn't this is a movie. We have to judge it as a film. Unless you're doing something completely repulsive to the true story, and I don't believe this movie does that, we have to judge it as a film. And as a film, The Social Network is up here, and King's Speech is just not. It's good, but just not. So we're skipping the 2012 Oscars because even though I don't think the right films won or got nominated, we can't talk about movies that weren't nominated. That belongs in a snubs video. Going straight to 2013, here are two movies that got nominated, and the wrong one won, in my opinion. I know there are fans of Brave out there, but in my opinion, Wreck-It Ralph, being by far the best animated movie of that year, lost to Brave, a film that I believe is one of the worst Pixar movies. Not a bad movie. It's okay, right? But it's nowhere near the level of fun and quality and entertainment as that of Wreck-It Ralph. The fan response was so much better, and I thought the critic response was a bit better to Wreck-It Ralph compared to Brave, but nope, Brave won the Oscar, and this is probably the one that I have the most passion for. I know, Social Network, but one of the ones I had the most passion for on this entire list because I just watched these two movies, and it ain't even close. How in the world? Now, going through all of these years, you see movies like Ferdinand and The Boss Baby get nominated for Oscars, so they don't tend to nail the animated category very often. But this one specifically hurts my soul. And we're going to stick in 2013. Now, I'm not as passionate about this argument, so my level of intensity is going to be low here. But I would have, again, with Tarantino. He's just a big Tarantino fanboy, Austin. No, I really enjoyed Argo, and I wasn't pissed off when it won. I was happy for Ben Affleck, this and that, but I would have put Django over Argo. I believe that movie deserved to win Best Picture that year. So it's not every year I'm in Tarantino's camp like this, but Django Unchained, Inglourious Bastards, woof, I think that should have won. We move into the year 2013, talking the 2014 Oscars, and my passion for a movie like The Wolf of Wall Street is there. Now, was I completely upset that 12 Years a Slave won? No, maybe I would have pushed one or two more films above that, but my real argument here, and this hurts my soul because I love McConaughey. I'm so glad he has an Oscar to his name now, but I rewatched The Wolf of Wall Street, and I just see everything you love about Leonardo DiCaprio present in this performance. Is this a massive snub, in my opinion? No. Was McConaughey's speech freaking awesome during that Oscars? Absolutely. But this is the year I said, if Leo doesn't win it now, I don't know if he's ever going to get it. And he got his eventually. But even if I'm comparing his performance in The Revenant to his performance in The Wolf of Wall Street, I would take his performance in The Wolf of Wall Street. But that's how difficult it is to win an Oscar. Even if you're at the top of your game, it's the best performance you've ever given, it still has to be better than all of the other performances that year. The argument is there for McConaughey for sure, but personally, I would have went with Leo. Okay, 2015 is going to be interesting because these are more personal choices. I don't consider these major shockers. I have Michael Keaton as Best Actor from Birdman over Eddie Redmayne. Redmayne's performance was really good, but we're talking range here, and Michael Keaton showcased the range, and it was such a personal story for him. Say what you will about Birdman. I like the film. I know people who hate that movie. I thought Keaton was firing on all cylinders there. My choice for Best Picture would not have been Birdman. Like, it's a good movie, and I think the craft is there. You have the one-take element, and that's something that's automatically going to win me over. I love a good one-take. But Whiplash, guys. Whiplash has resonated, I believe, with the movie-loving community much more so than Birdman. Birdman, technically, wonderful. But we just talked Damien Chazelle. He had the Eddie this weekend. The guy can direct. He is flat out incredible at everything that he does. And Whiplash is a film that just has much more meat to it in terms of the script, in terms of the characters. It feels like a film that maybe means more to more people than Birdman. And in my opinion, it's just a much better movie than Birdman. So, not maybe a popular choice, but I have Whiplash way over Birdman. And then this one I'm not super fired up about. This is more of a personal thing because I know a lot of people love Big Hero 6, so it wasn't a shocker when it won. But How to Train Your Dragon Part 2, I feel like is just a much better movie. I would have went the other direction. In 2015, we got a couple of fantastic films. We got The Revenant, we got Creed, we got Bridge of Spies. Don't like Bridge of Spies as much as those first two, but we move into the 2016 Oscars and talk about Best Supporting Actor. When Mark Rylance came in, and here we go. Mark Rylance, let's start here. Phenomenal actor. I love him so much. But that year, I feel as if the performance from Sylvester Stallone was shockingly good to a degree that I think puts him above Mark Rylance. I can't even sit here and say Stallone is the best actor in the world, but when he commits to a performance and it just fits his personality perfectly, like Rocky, that, I believe, puts him a level above Rylance that specific year. And then I would also say Tom Hardy from The Revenant. I just felt Hardy hit me with a bigger level of emotion than Mark Rylance did. Performance-wise and script delivery, I think all three of them are up there for sure. And this isn't one that I'm like, oh, Mark Rylance, but I would have been much happier to see Tom Hardy or Sylvester Stallone up there for Best Supporting Actor. Here we go, 2017. 2016, by the way, what a phenomenal year for movies. From La La Land to Hell or High Water to Sing Street, and we'll talk snubs with Sing Street, to Arrival to Moonlight, just phenomenal films all over the place. And this is not me saying the popular snub here is what I'm about to go with. No. Moonlight is a phenomenal movie. I think it's expertly crafted, and I am in no way offended that it won Best Picture. It was actually up there when I talked about the best pictures of the decade. This is just more of a personal, okay, I think I'm more of a fan of La La Land than Moonlight, and Arrival, for me, is the best picture of that year. Arrival has just resonated a bit more. It did more with the genre. We've seen films similar to Moonlight, not constructed in that way. Again, I take nothing away from that film. It deserved its award. Personal thing here, Arrival is just better constructed than Moonlight. I'm losing you. I can feel I'm losing you. I'm sorry. I just prefer that. And y'all know, I talked Denis Villeneuve so many times on this channel. The guy deserves to get his just desserts at the Oscars. Hasn't gotten it yet. I think this was his year. I do want to pause and say plenty of these choices didn't have the steam behind them to actually accomplish. Like, Arrival was never actually winning Best Picture. It's a personal choice. It was obviously between La La Land and Moonlight. Still preferred La La Land to Moonlight. But if I was voting and it said Austin on the ballot, you wouldn't want that, by the way. But I would have chosen Arrival. 2018 Oscars, you bet your butt we're going to be talking the Florida Project and snubs. But let's talk about it with Best Supporting Actor. So here's one where I'm not, again, not too fired up about. But Willem Dafoe, in my opinion, had the slight edge for me over Sam Rockwell. I can't sit here and say I was upset because I love seeing Sam Rockwell up there, and he was great in this movie, but there was something about Willem Dafoe's performance in The Florida Project that still resonates with me in 2020. I just watched the movie recently again, and oh my goodness, man, the heart that he conveys in this film and the struggle and the people he has to deal with, I'm like, gosh, man, he just fit that role so perfectly. But the real one here is Get Out over The Shape of Water for Best Picture. Shape of Water won Best Picture, and at the time, this is what's funny about how things have changed, I was happy. I'm like, yes, The Shape of Water is the better movie. But over the years, Get Out has just done it for me on a level that Shape of Water hasn't upon rewatch. Still a really good film. One of Guillermo del Toro's best movies, in my opinion. And I was happy to see him finally winning that award. Should have won it for Pan's Labyrinth, but This movie is just not as good as Get Out, not as culturally impactful. And it's not just that, right? It's what Jordan Peele did, mixing humor and drama and something that resonates with us culturally, but wasn't too on the nose, wasn't too political, wasn't too in your face. Jordan Peele nailed Get Out. And a couple of years later, I think it just resonates much better. Okay, 2019. Okay, so obviously, you can go Green Book here. And so many people would put Roma over Green Book. So many people would put A Star Is Born. I don't think as many people, but I liked A Star Is Born more. I was actually a fan of Green Book. Do I believe it deserved to win the Oscar? No. But I'm still a fan of Green Book. I really enjoyed the movie. Austin, what would you put over Green Book? I mean, Roma was so well made, it hasn't necessarily stuck with me on the level that I thought it would. A Star Is Born at the time, I really loved A Star Is Born. But looking back, and hindsight 2020, obviously, I'm like, is that movie as good as I thought it was? I still really love the movie, but I don't think about it as often as I do other movies from that year. You ask me? I mean, I liked American Animals more than any of these, but it didn't get nominated for anything, and nobody saw that movie. So, my favorite movie from that year, Into the Spider-Verse, and it won for Best Animated Feature. I thought it should have been nominated for Best Picture. Black Panther got nominated over Infinity War. I prefer Infinity War. I understand why Black Panther got nominated. Really well-crafted film. But this is one of those years I look at and I'm just like, it wasn't the strongest year for Best Picture contenders. If I had to choose one just based off of quality, I would have went Roma for sure. But even then, it doesn't resonate. It's just a tough year for movies, guys. Now, I would love to know what movies should have won from 2018 and 2019. It's a hard year to look back on because I'm just like, okay. 2019, aka the 2020 Oscars. You guys know me. No complaints about Best Picture. Do I still prefer, personally, 1917? Yes, but that's the distinction between quality and what I want. I mean, 1917 is a quality film. Absolutely. I freaking love it. But there's no denying the craft behind Parasite and what Bong Joon-ho did. So, no complaints there. My only real thing that I would change is Scarlett Johansson from Marriage Story over Renee Zellweger from Judy. Renee Zellweger was great in Judy. I loved her performance. She is what made that movie run. But I go back and I watch Marriage Story, and I see the emotion that I've always seen from Scarlett Johansson. But for some reason, it just works in this movie, and I saw range that I never thought I would see from her, and I felt so strongly towards her character, and the impact of that performance has resonated with me so much more so than Renee Zellweger. I watched the movie, I said that was good. She's probably going to win because she played Judy Garland. In my opinion, Scarlett Johansson was a lot better, but it wasn't a tragedy when Renee won. See, that's the distinction between my different choices here, because sometimes you're just shocked when someone wins. That wasn't the case for Renee Zellweger. It probably was the case. I wasn't as much in the space back then, but when the King's Speech won over Social Network, I could just imagine. So this was a very personal video, obviously, and I don't expect everyone to agree with every choice of mine, but it was so much fun going back, seeing what was nominated, seeing what actually won, and seeing how some of these older films have resonated with us much more so. So here's what I need from you guys. If you would like to see me cover other decades, the 2000s, the 1990s, let me know. If you want my snubs video in the next couple of weeks, let me know. That one's going to be fun. We hit on some of them here. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. To all of my patrons on Patreon, I appreciate all of your support. You guys are truly the best. Love these Oscar videos. Cannot wait to do something else. And I'll see you soon.